Today, we are talking about why you don't need to be perfect in every way, practically perfect in every way, as Mary Poppins is, and only Mary Poppins is.
Uh-huh.
Culturally, we have been conditioned to believe that everything is either or, black and white. You can have or you cannot have, but you can't have it all. And you certainly can't have it all at once. And if you're going to do it, you're going to have to be amazing at all of it.
Right.
But that's just not true.
No.
It's just not true. You can, in fact, be amazing at some things and pretty awful at others. And we're going to give you permission to do that. So let's go.
I love that because in my personal life and in my business life, so many people, and the way that I have been trained to think is that I need to be able to be the best at all things. I need something that makes me phenomenal, but I need to be almost perfect at everything else too. And if I'm not good enough. And it's interesting as I dig more into the business side of everything. Everybody says, well, you can't outsource. You can't get anybody else to do it until you know what you're doing so that you know if you're outsourcing correctly.
I totally disagree with that.
And so I felt like I had to know everything, be everything, wear all of the hats and be good at it so that I knew that the person that I handed it off to was a trustworthy source of who, could get in and do this. And I break myself trying to do all the things and trying to do it really, really well, or I waste all this time doing something that I know that somebody else can do better. And so in personal and business and in everything, if we find our strengths and build on it, then we're a step ahead of the rest. And we don't have to make weak things become strong. We just need to hand those weak things off to somebody else and focus on what we're already strong at doing in order to be better.
That makes no sense to me because that's like saying you have to be an expert before you can hire someone. But
right.
That's why you hire someone is because they're an expert.
It is because I'm not the expert and they are.
Like I am not an expert at bookkeeping. I don't want to. I almost majored in accounting until I realized that I don't really love it that much. So am I capable? Yes, but I freaking do not like it.
Yeah.
And I don't really care if the numbers don't exactly add up. Like I'll round. I don't care, but obviously bookkeeping is not supposed to be rounding. It's supposed to be exact. So I outsource it. Right. And she loves it. That's what she does. It's what she's done forever. And she's amazing at it. And that is what she loves. But she hired me to train her because knowing what to do in the gym was not her strong suit. So I think that that's kind of silly advice. I also think that we, like I said, are conditioned to believe that it's on or off, black or white. You can be a mom or you can be a career woman, or you can be fit or you can be a mom or a career woman, but you can't be fit and have a great family and run a successful company
or you're the badass boss babe, or you're a hot mess.
Yes.
You can't really, those are my two options. What if I don't want to be either of those two options, or I want the freedom to do both?
Yeah.
And that's when it's so stupid quote here. Have you ever seen the movie Ever After? I mean, it's a total chick flick. No. And I watched it when I was like 13.
Surprise you, but I'm not a big chick flick fan.
I'm so surprised, Heather. So
shocking face. Shocked.
But in the movie, the prince has a moment where he said, I used to think that if I had feelings for one thing, I would have to care for everything. So instead of caring for everything, I chose not to care about anything. And then he realized that if he cared about something, it was okay to care about one thing, but not everything all at once. And so to the flip side of you don't have to be an expert and you can outsource, the flip side of that is you can care about a lot of things and want to improve in a lot of ways and be really well-rounded without having to feel like you have to be perfect in all of those ways all at once.
Right.
Because that's where we hit burnout. So just because I want to get my house organized doesn't mean that I have to go tackle the entire house all at once. I don't have to put importance on every single room all at the same time. You tackle one at a time. What's the most important to you right now? I always look for a catalyst. What is the physical catalyst space that's going to allow you, if I touch this one room, it's going to have this ripple effect into everywhere else in the house. Just yesterday, I had a home consult that did this very thing, where if I touch your storage room, if I organize your storage room, it's going to affect the storage room and the laundry and the linen closets, 2 of them, and the closet in the boys' bedroom and the pantry and the cleaning closet from all just from touching one space
from storage,
from their storage room.
Wow.
So find those ripple effects areas in your life.
Yeah.
When it comes to applying the mindset that we have, to organizing to other principles, other areas of our life, where's the catalyst space? Where's the storage room in your life that you can tackle right now that's going to affect multiple other areas? It doesn't mean that you have to focus on those multiple other areas. It just means that it's going to kind of clear out the gunk out of those corners and nooks and crannies of your brain to be able to say, oh, if I just get up earlier, that's going to affect 15 other different things. It's going to affect my reading time, my exercise time, my making breakfast time, my time, getting up the kids a little bit earlier. And so we're not stressing to go to school. All these different things, it has this ripple effect.
Yeah.
So if we're looking to improve,
that's where people that make changes, they decide that they're going to adopt a morning routine and suddenly they lose 20 pounds.
Yeah.
It's not because they started getting up earlier that they lost 20 pounds. It's because they suddenly realize that, if I make one little change here, the whole rest of my day goes differently. And now I have time to prioritize myself, or now I have gotten in the headspace where prioritizing myself is possible. Because I'm such an advocate for morning routines, because if you wake up and you roll out of bed after hitting snooze 3 times and it's the very last minute and you're scrambling to get ready and you're scrambling to get everyone in the car and out the door and scramble, not at any point are you thinking about yourself or what you need for the day, until you're already out of the house and you're like, oh, shoot, I guess I should have brought a gym bag so I could go to the gym. I guess I'm not going to do that. Or, oh, shoot, I should have packed a lunch. Didn't have time for that. So I guess I'll just go through a drive-through, but if you rewind it and just give yourself 10 minutes. I mean, seriously, morning routines don't need to be hours. Mine's an hour and a half now. It keeps growing. I'm getting nervous. Like I may, because I just I love it. I love it so much. Yeah. Like I caught myself.
And morning routines to me, oh my gosh, morning routines to me, just the thought of it makes me panic, but I just flip flop it and I use it as a nightly routine. I tuck everybody in and then I go focus on me. And I plan ahead for the next day, the night before, because that's when my brain is on. That's when I'm in my rational mind in the morning.
I have a mini mind. I plan the night before, lay the clothes out.
Yeah.
But I can't do any kind of deep thinking or I can't really think at all at night. My brain is so fried. It's look at the calendar, figure out where I need to be and what we're going to eat. And that's the extent of it. There's no way I could do any kind of soul searching, which is what I do in the morning.
Yeah.
I caught myself the other day.
That's playing to natural strengths too.
Yeah.
Knowing,
ironically, I'm not a morning person. That's the thing. I still hate waking up.
Well, but there are people, maybe I shouldn't say anything because I haven't looked it up. I will see if I can find the source of this. And then, but there are certain types of people that wake up, our energy use. There are certain people where the energy comes later in the day. There are certain people who wake up with energy, but it's different than is your brain on. I'll have to find the source of that before I elaborate on it more. But
we all have cortisol levels that peak about 30 minutes after we wake up. And that's supposed to be when you're at your clearest, sharpest mind and able to do your most effective thinking and all that. But people do think and perform at different times. And I'll never forget, I read something where this woman was she's like, everyone kept telling me to be successful. I had to get up at 5 a.m., but I'm most successful. I'm most creative at 2 a.m. So that's when I do my best work. So I sleep till noon. So what? I stay up all night because that's when I think, which we'll have a different conversation another day about why that's not, we got to find a balance there because physiologically that's not good for you either.
No. But doesn't that bring up another side? I mean, we always talk about the flip side of the coin as though there are only two subjects that we can ever talk about. Two things that we can only talk about in one subject. So here's another detail as we're talking about this, is that your priorities can shift, and the way that you approach life can shift.
Totally.
In college, my most productive time was at 1 o'clock in the morning, because all my roommates were in bed by then and it was quiet and I was awake and I could think clearly at 1 o'clock in the morning, but I could not get up and make it to my 9 o'clock class on time, which is ridiculous to think about now that I can't get somewhere by 9 a.m. I mean, come on. But now I cannot think at 1 o'clock in the morning. I am too fried. I am too out of it. So I do all of my thinking at 9 o'clock at night. And priorities change and shift. So just because you found a podcast that you loved and it served you really well for a year, and now all of a sudden you're not finding it to be as useful as it used to be, it doesn't mean you're weird. It doesn't mean that you've changed. For the worse, it means you've just changed.
Yeah.
And priorities are different.
I just made a change like that. And it was really hard. I let go of one of my, I'm down to one group fitness format, and I used to teach 5 different formats and like 12 to 14 classes a week. And I'm down to one format and one class a week. And I let the last one go because I realized exactly that it was not serving me the way it used to. It wasn't bringing me the same joy it used to. And I still enjoyed it while I was doing it, but I had so much stress over preparing for it and the time commitment to be there, do it, drive back and forth, all the things. And it just got to be where I was like, you know what, this is just not worth it. But you have to be tuned into yourself enough to recognize that. And that decision was definitely probably 2 to 3 months in the making.
Oh, sure.
I started to get that idea, and then I'd go back. No, I love this. And then the next time I'd be like, don't love it. And then I go back. I do love it, and I go back and forth. But then the day I made the decision, I was teaching, and I remember thinking in the middle of the class, no, it's time. It's time to be done. And after I made the decision, I felt an enormous sense of relief, and I have not for 1 second missed it.
Gone back.
That tells me that it was the right decision, right? If I made the decision and then suddenly the next week been like, oh, I'm so sad I'm not teaching that would have been a different story. But I don't even think about it sometimes. Like I have to remind myself to think about it sometimes. Like, oh yeah.
I used to do that.
You have different seasons. You have different things
that is a big thing to say out loud. It makes sense in our minds, but when we can see it play out in our own lives, how we hold on to maintaining status quo, sometimes it's really scary to change.
Oh yeah.
Even, so 2 of the biggest mistakes people make in their home with their organization and with their clutter. Number 1 is not allowing their kids to change, not allowing their kids to change phases. When they were newborn up to, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years old, depending on your child, the parents got to make all the decisions about what they wore, where they went, what they got to play with. And then when your child grows into his or her own opinion, it's like, well, wait a minute. We want to raise our child to be independent, and yet we can't relinquish that control of them growing into a new phase. And so that it stops us and makes us stuck in our house. And the next one is for the people that have already moved on. When we see things that are memorabilia for ourselves, the nostalgic items, we say this used to mean something to me. And so I should hold on to it because it used to be important to me.
Yeah.
It was so-and-so's, or this was, they might not even be passed on, something from the glory days. Yeah. This was, this meant so much to me in high school, but high school was 30 years ago now. And it doesn't mean anything to me anymore, but it used to. And so I should still hold on to it.
Or it should
mean something to me.
My mom brought my Letterman
and it doesn't.
My Letterman jacket to me the other day. And I was like, I don't want this. But then I totally felt guilty. I was like, I should probably keep this. And I was like, why?
Why
do I need to keep this? My kids don't care about it. I don't care about it. Like, I didn't even wear it when I got it. I didn't care.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
So yeah, I totally get that. I totally get
Yep.
that. Yep.
So,
It's okay.
but watch there again. So this is a perfect example of watching it's either all the way on or all the way off.
Mm-hmm.
So let's take an example of this Leatherman jacket and pretend that it used to, so the opposite effect. So take your Leatherman jacket and say, this used to be my favorite thing. I wore it nonstop all the time. Every picture from high school was in my Letterman's jacket.
Yeah.
I saved it forever. I didn't let my kids play with it because I didn't want them to destroy it. But now 30 years later, it's like, I don't care anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Or you don't wait 30 years until you absolutely don't care. It's allow yourself to shift slowly into not caring. Or a better way of putting that is create new experiences with it. So instead of going from all the way on to all the way off, you allow yourself I did with to that shift class, in phases. Right?
Kind of how I did with that class, where I didn't just decide I'm done.
Yep.
I kind of allowed myself to feel what it would be like to be done. And I explored that feeling of, maybe I would be okay with this, but then I have people that are sad that, you know, I had a pretty loyal following and they're counting on me and they're sad and, but I think if you ease into it, I mean, like I said, I think it was, a good 2.5 months, I think, before I finally made that decision. And even in the moment, I didn't walk in that day deciding like that was going to be the day.
Yeah.
I just waited until it felt right. And I think you do that to a certain extent with your things.
Yes. Yeah. That's the time factor, is sometimes time tells you when you're done.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be with just things. It can be with exercise routines. It can be with podcasts. It can be with TV shows. It can be with the style of your clothes. It can be with anything.
Well, I just had a conversation.
But allow yourself to change.
Totally.
Allow yourself to shift.
Totally. I just had a conversation today with a gal and she was like, so how do people, like, what's the trigger for people to decide that they want to work with you? And because I was talking about, the kind of women I work with. And she's like, is it like an accident, an injury? And I said, no. I said, they just are done. Mm-hmm. They wake up one day and they're done. They're done feeling like crap. They're done being exhausted. They're done waking up tired. They're done hating how they look in the mirror. They're done hating how they feel in their clothes. They're done living on caffeine and alcohol. They're done.
Yeah.
Like they're just done. And I can't tell you how many times I've heard those words. I'm just done.
Yep.
I'm just done. And those words are music to my ears because I know that they are not going to quit.
Yeah.
And I'll ask them. I have on my intake form. It's like, how urgent is this? Like, I kind of need to do it. I want to do it, or I'm doing this with or without you. And when they check the box that says I'm doing this with or without you, I'm all in. Like, let's go. Let me help you out because I know that you've made that shift, but I don't think until you've made that shift in your head with anything that you're done with it, that you can truly let it go.
Yeah.
You just keep holding on. Like the people that aren't done when they start to work with me, they're the first ones to come up with every excuse in the book as to why it's not going to work.
Mm-hmm.
Because they have not flipped the switch. They have not said, not anymore. I'm done.
Well, it goes back to that. Here again, I have another quote without a source. I'll find a source. He said, are you interested in making this change or are you committed to doing it?
Mm-hmm.
So it might be an interesting idea. You like the idea of it, but you haven't committed yourself to doing it yet. And that makes all the difference in the world.
All the difference.
All the difference.
And it's okay to be interested. That's where I was 2.5 months before I made my decision. I was interested in it. The idea appealed to me of maybe I don't need to juggle this ball. I've got 15 other balls I'm juggling. Maybe this one can go. And then nope, I'm going to hold on to it. Right.
Yep.
But eventually you warm up to it, but it's okay to be in that stage. Acknowledge it.
Yes.
Acknowledge it, feel it, listen to it, explore that feeling. Why am I feeling? Why is this even popping up? Why am I considering not doing or getting rid of or whatever? Why am I even considering this? Because I don't think we even stop to think about that.
Yeah. No, I don't think we do. I don't think we do. And I think it's interesting how unintentional some of our choices are, just because we're maintaining status quo, or just because we're following along with what society thinks we should do. And we don't ever become really, really, really intentional with our choices and with how we are leading ourselves forward. Right. And so we just kind of get stuck and stagnant. But we don't feel stuck or stagnant because our wheels are spinning so blasted fast, because we've got so much going on that we don't feel like we're stagnant, but we definitely aren't intentional. Right. So that's, I mean, I think this conversation could just keep going and going, but, it's fantastic to talk about how it doesn't have to be all or nothing. It doesn't have to be all the things or none of the things. And it doesn't have to be just two sides of the coin, that we can set intentionality, that we can let time run its course, that we can shift our intentions and desires, that we can outsource before we're perfect at something, that we can do all of these things. And we don't have to be perfect in all of the areas, that we have that ripple effect of, if we change one thing, it will be that catalyst to change in other areas, simply because we changed one thing.
Yep.
And that's kind of been my takeaway lately was what's my catalyst? What do I need to change? If I change one thing, it's going to affect 5 different things in my life. Yep. So I don't know if I have an answer for you right now, but that's something that I've been thinking about a lot lately. As I've been setting, different intentions and goals in my business and in my personal life and in my personal growth. But I still have that dumb little quote in the back of my head. I thought if I cared about one thing, I would have to care about all the things. It's like, nope, I don't. Not even close. But what a relief to be able to let go of things, extra things in our lives, in our schedules, or to bring on the things that we want to be able to do, and to do it in a realistic manner and fashion, and in the time and headspace that we need it to be in.
Amen.